Jaya Gopijana Vallabha Girivaradari. Jaya Gopijana Vallabha Girivaradari. Yasodanandana Braja Janaranjana Yasodanandana Braja Janaranjana Yamuna Tira Vanachari Yamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada. Nitai Gaura Haribo, 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 Nitai Gaura Haribo. Shri Shri Rukmini Dwarkadesi ki jai. Shri Shri Gaur Jagannath Baldev Subhadra Mai ki jai. Shri Shri Gaur Nitai ki jai. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Ananta Koti Vaishnavinda ki jai. Nitai Gaur Premanande Hari Hari. Hare Krishna. So it's our pleasure to be among all of you. This is my first time to LA. And it's like a very widespread city. It's a big huge. So we've been traveling around for a while. We just arrived yesterday, and in the midst of this big metropolis, to see spiritual people, to see devotees, is like very rare. And of course, like we are blessed that we have this facility of such a wonderful temple, right, in the middle of all this like materialistic kind of civilization. So I also come from that background where I believed in pakka materialistic life, a complete materialistic life. So even being born in Nepal, now Nepal is situated in the north, on the north of India, right? We share the very similar culture. And about 82% of the population is still Hindu. But then we call Hindu no Bindu, Right? Means we are Hindus, but then we have no idea what exactly it is because we don't read scriptures. Because in Hindu scriptures, which is also called Sanatan Dharma, has lots of scriptures, right? Starting from 4 Vedas, right? Rig Veda, Atharva Veda, Yajur Veda, Sama Veda. Then we have 6 Vedangas, right? Sorry, 6 Upavedas, 4 Vedangas, 108 Upanishad, 18 Puranas, 2 Itihasas, history, and so on, like so many books. These are the Shrutis. Then we have Smritis, right? So many books. And then all the conclusion of these like scriptures are given in book like Bhagavad Gita, Srimad Bhagavad Gita, right? And then there's also another book called Vedanta Sutra, also called Brahma Sutra. All these kind of books are there. But then, frankly speaking, never in my life I even saw them, Never in my life. So being born in a Hindu family, and then of course lots of temples around in Kathmandu. Every 5-10 houses there is a temple. Either it's a Ganesh or Shiva or Krishna. There's so many temples. We used to go to temples, but then we never knew, we were never educated about like what exactly is going on. So, and then sometimes, we used to question, why we have so many gods and different forms. You can see Nrsingadev, half lion, half man. Then there's Hayagriva with like half horse and half man. All this kind of like weird kind of like avatars, sometimes like tortoise, sometimes pig, boar, all these kind of things. And then kind of little confused, I used to go to my parents, to my grandparents, and to my surprise, they also didn't know much, So, well, not being educated, not being knowledgeable in this field, at one point, being educated in science, I became computer engineer, then did my master's in technology management. So all this modern education also didn't help me to understand religion or spirituality. In fact, they would rather say it's a dogma. It's a dogmatic, presentation of knowledge, and also sometimes called superstition. Right? So at one point I decided I'm not a religious person. Let me become atheist. I was a pakka atheist, So because not believing, right? There are like many times like my parents would say, if you pray to God, if you offer something to God, He will fulfill all your wishes. I tried. It's not that I didn't try. I tried. Especially when I didn't do good study in my exam times, I used to go to Ganesh and say, okay, Ganesh, if I get a good score, I'll offer you 108 laddus, Right? So I tried that 4-5 times, and none of the time I got good score, So then I thought, it doesn't work. Or seems like God doesn't exist. It's just like some kind of belief. Right? So until the age of 30, I was like pakka atheist, and then trying all different ways to be happy in this world. Right? So even though I was like in Nepal, I was like living a very modern life, very Western life, thinking that this is going to make me happy. And in my culture, the meat and alcohol was like very normal. At the age of 7, I first time tasted alcohol. And you know who gave me that alcohol? My father. Right? It's considered very auspicious to drink alcohol. So he gave me that alcohol. I tasted it. I didn't like the taste. It was pretty strong. But then naturally by the age of 14, 15, I was alcoholic. Pakka alcoholic. I was drinking from bottle and then, getting boozed out and sometimes like flat on the floor like that. Then along with the alcohol, cigarettes started. I became a chain smoker. It didn't stop there. I started smoking marijuana for almost 7 years, thinking that these kind of things will make me happy, right? So, of course, then I started like traveling to the different parts of the world, and then going to the beaches, climbing mountains, going with friends, making many girlfriends, thinking that that'll give me pleasure, happiness. And then, of course, I would admit that, yes, all these things gave me pleasure for a moment. It didn't last long. Just like I used to get boozed out with alcohol and next morning end up with hangover. I didn't like that thing, And many of the other stuffs I would take, it would give me good trip and then it'll also give me rag trip, bad trips, So I was also always in search of like something which is going to give me happiness. Right? And then, of course, never thought that spirituality or religion is a solution. Until one day I met a white man in Nepal. He was a brahmachari, you know. The first time I saw a white young man sadhu, you know, shaved head and then with sikha, tilak, and then wearing saffron, orange colored dress. You know, I was thinking, what happened to this guy? I was like very serious. What happened to this guy? This guy must be mad. He's coming from a developed country and coming to Nepal being a monk. What a mismatch, you know? What a mismatch. So I was thinking, this guy must be crazy. He has gone nuts. I was thinking. But then at the other hand, I was thinking, hey, this person is coming from a country where I love to go, and all the culture of this person, I'm following that. Whatever he eats, I'm eating that. Whatever language he speaks, I'm speaking that. Right? Whatever uniform dress they wear, I'm wearing that, jeans and t-shirts. But then here, the guy comes with a dhoti, you know, like some sadhu attire, and coming to Nepal and talking about God. Such a mismatch. But then on the other hand, I was also thinking, what does he know better than me? What does he know something different which I don't know? So I started talking to him. So in the middle of the conversation, he asked me, have you read Bhagavad Gita? Such a simple question, right? But then it was very difficult for me. I knew, being a Hindu, it's a very important book for us. And here a foreigner comes to me and then asking, have you read Bhagavad Gita? And then the answer I had was, no. I've never seen one. Right? I've never seen one. So I thought, well, you know, if I say no, I'll be defeated by this guy. And my ego was so high that I didn't want it to say no. I said, come on, man, I'm still young. When I'll get old, I'll read it. You know, that's what we have been taught back there. You know, when you retire, when you don't have anything else to do, go and read Rama and go and read Bhagavad Gita, you know. So then he said, oh, that means you have not read it. Then I said, come on, man. We're living in 21st century. Even if we read it, what relevance does it make? Right? Does it teach me to become rich? Does it teach me to become like successful in life? Right? It's a nonsense book. So during the conversation, at one point I declared it's a rubbish book. I don't want to read it. It's a rubbish book. Then he very peacefully smiled and said, you have not read it. How do you know it's a rubbish book? You read it and then prove it's a rubbish book, then I'll accept it. So I took up the challenge. And this is what happened. You know? Yeah. So, of course, like when I read Bhagavad Gita for the first time, the chapter 1 was really boring. Of course, the introduction of Srila Prabhupada, didn't understand. No, of course, like it was in English. I could understand each and every word, but what is he talking about? I don't know. And then chapter 1 was like boring in the sense that Krishna is blowing his conch. And the conch name is Panchajanya. Why do I need the name of the conch? And then first time in my life I knew that, oh, even the conch have name. Then Arjuna blows his conch and his name is Devadrat. What is the use? So I was like kind of, I knew that this is a boring book. But then, when I started reading chapter 2, wow, each and every sloka was talking about me, my life. Who am I? You know, it was talking about like where the happiness comes from, where the sadness comes from, the suffering comes from. It was talking about like so many things like lust, anger, greed, all these kind of enemies who is residing in our heart and creating all sorts of problems. Right? So many things about me. Then I thought, hey, I thought this is a book of religion. But then I realized that these are the books of my life. It's a manual for me to become happy. So after about 2 weeks, I went back to the temple, ISKCON temple there, and met the same sadhu, white man. So he asked me, so you read Gita? So I said, I'm reading it. How do you find it? It's good. I had to admit that it's good. Right? And then later on I started like studying, and then amazing thing happened that immediately I stopped smoking, drinking. Now I became vegetarian. All of a sudden, of Of course, like in the beginning days, like for about 2 months, it was difficult. I became like skinny, everything, because the diet changed, the lifestyle changed. But then slowly my life started becoming better, more happier. I never thought spirituality or religion is the answer. I never thought that. Never believed. Right? Then I started reading Srimad Bhagavatam. Right? Today is Bhadra Purnima. It's such a wonderful day that it's been blessed. We've been blessed that if we read or give or like take Srimad Bhagavatam today, then we'll be liberated. Right? We'll be liberated. Right? So that boon is there. And when I started reading Srimad Bhagavatam, oh my God, I found science. It was all about science. Right? Of course, like we hear the kathas, we call like Bhagavad Sapta, the 7 days stories. Right? And I've heard quite a few of them. And most of the time, the storyteller would focus on donations. Get a Brahman and then give donations. And this was the main focus. Then I realized, when I was reading, they never talked about the science behind it. Right? For example, Canto 3, Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 3, you can find Maitreya Muni talking to Vidurji. Of course, it's mentioned in Sanskrit, but fortunately, Srila Prabhupada would translate into English. In one place, he talks about atom. Right? And it's called Parmanu in Sanskrit. He says, Parmanu, the atom, is the smallest individual part of an element. I thought this is coming from modern science. I thought that. Because modern science may be 450, 500 years old. Right? Newton, Galileo, it started from there only. But then here, the book which claims that it is 5,000 years old is talking about atom and giving the exact definition. Right? I was like, wow. Then he talks about the smallest unit of time. He says, sunlight to pass from one end to another end of hydrogen atom, that is the smallest unit of time. Wow, what a scientific definition. Right? Even in today's world, like even microscopic, world, where we have like old, like powerful machines, we still, cannot see them. And then here, like they are talking about that. Canto 3, Kapil Dev talking to his mother. Right? So casually talking to the mother, explaining to the mother. Can you imagine? He's saying, Sankhya Yoga, how we got created. And then he's talking about the development of a child in the womb of the mother. Right? Which we just came to know, in few decades. Right? Like after the ultrasound. Right? USG came, then we came to know that that this kind of organ develops in this much time. It was described in Canto 3. And in a casual talk between son and a mother. Can you imagine, the level of intellect they have, the level of science they had. I was mesmerized. Wow, this is cool. Canto 5 talks about universal structure. And then they say that it's a group of planets, there are planetary systems. And every planet is a spherical thing. For modern science, at one point the earth was flat. Earth was flat. Then Galileo and then scientists before that, they had to struggle to prove that we are living in a, spherical kind of mass. But in scripture it says Bhu Gol. Gol means like a ball. Bhu means earth. Earth is a round-shaped ball. And not only that, they even gave the value of pi. The value of pi is there to calculate all the distances and then sizes and circumferences. I says, this is a science. And it also talks, Srimad Bhagavatam also talks about cloning, right? Which is completely a new concept in today's world. I thought it's a new concept, but then no. 5,000 years back they are talking about cloning. When Vena Maharaj was a bad king, he was killed by the sadhus, cursed him to die. So when he died, they didn't know whom to make king next, right? So then one of them decided, okay, let's clone. Let's take a living cell from his body and create Prithu Maharaj. Whew, this is so advanced. And then not only that, I found organ transplant, right? Organ transplant. And then you know which organ they transplanted? the head. And that also they brought the head of elephant and joined with the human body. So I was thinking, did they check the blood group? Did it match? And what about the size of the head? How did they fix it? And then did the personality change? No, it didn't. So what is it? What are they? How did they do it? And another case, like they brought the head of the goat. Can you imagine? Right? And then in today's world, we do have like organ transplant. Right? But then for that, you have to like reduce your immune system, and then very complicated. Hardly it becomes like very successful, hardly. And still you have problem. But in there, they are perfectly done. Right? Then I found so many things like that. Just to give you an example, I was just like mentioning a few. Then I found there are three things: mantra, tantra, and yantra. Right? Three tools to accomplish any kind of action. So mantra is using the focus of the mind, the purity of the mind to achieve anything. Tantra is using foreign subtle bodies. Right? What we in flat language we call it like ghost and spirit. And yantra, which we are today like witnessing, the technological advancement. This is a mic, is a yantra. Right? Machine. Mobile phone, everybody has mobile phone in their pocket. Right? So this is the yantra, the age of yantra. But then I found yantra is the lowest of the three. Right? Better than yantra is the tantra, means using the foreign bodies. Right? And then better than tantra is the mantra. Now, in these books, they were talking mostly about the mantras. They use mantra. You can see Gandhari, when she was like upset that she couldn't give a good child, the first child to her husband, she out of anger she hit her own stomach. Then she got miscarriage. The fetus came out, and then the Rishi Munis, they had to cut this fetus and then put it into like 100 vessels, and from that 100 vessels came 100 sons. In the modern language we call it test tube baby. Yeah? So I was like, this is too far out, this is cool. Right? So I started like doing lots of studies on this. It took me almost 6 years. And not only that, I started reading like what is Bible, what is Quran, what is Tripitaka, Buddhism. Most of these books, and then start like thinking which one is the best. I found, the Bible talks about heaven and hell. Right? Heaven and hell. And the description of the Lord given there matches with the description of Indra. Very, very similar. Then I read like Quran. Quran goes a little bit ahead and says it describes like heaven and hell. It also describes Brahmaloka, what we call Brahmaloka. Because like Allah is the creator. He created this world in 6 days. On the 7th day He created His residence in the 7th layer above us. Right? So according to Srimad Bhagavatam, Brahma stays at 7 layers above us. Right? Bhur, Bhubar, Swa, Jana, Tapa, Mahar, and Satyalok, Brahmalok. Matches. So then, Tripitaka, the Buddhism goes a little beyond. It talks about heaven, hell, also talks about Brahmalok, and also talks about Brahmajyoti. Now Brahmajyoti is what they call Nirvana. When you reach Brahmajyoti, you are liberated. You are free of the problem of this, material problems. Then comes the Sanatana Dharma, which we call in the modern days Hindu Dharma. It talks about heaven, hell, talks about Brahmalok, also talks about Brahmajyoti, and finally talks about Vaikuntha Loka. Right? So Vaikuntha Loka is not explained anywhere else. Right? And then ISKCON goes even further. Right? Srila Prabhupada presents, heaven, hell, Brahmalok, Brahmajyoti, Vaikuntha planets, and the main Vaikuntha planet called Goloka Vrindavan. Wow, what a profound information. It took me almost 6 years to understand this and then commit. So it's been 21 years I've been practicing this, and then found, wow, everything works. Each and everything what Srila Prabhupada has mentioned, it works. even from the slightest thing, from my day-to-day habits, until the explanation about God, and to realize and to see how we are like governed or controlled by these personalities, supreme personalities. So I also thought, like in Hindu religion we have so many gods. In other religion it's so easy, one God. But then I also found, like in Hindu religion also there is one God. Then that one God, either he expands or he comes down from the spiritual world to this material world. So all the forms we hear, we know about God are the expansions. Right? Vyasadeva in Srimad Bhagavatam, he mentions Krishnastu Bhagwan Swayam. Krishna himself is God, the original God. That's why Srila Prabhupada gave him the title called Supreme Personality of Godhead. Means there are like so many expansions of God. Among them, the original is Krishna. From Krishna, Balaram expands. From Balaram, the quadruple, for the first quadruple, Chaturbhuja, Sankarshan, Aniruddha, Vasudeva, and Pradyumna. These four, they expand. And from Sankarshan comes Narayan. And Narayan is the one who takes care of the Vaikuntha planets. Right? And from Narayan comes second quadruple. No? Sankarshan, Aniruddha, Pradyumna, and Vasudeva. And from that Sankarshan comes Mahavishnu. And from Mahavishnu this material world starts. Right? And that Mahavishnu, from his body comes many, many universes. And in each universe he expands as Garvadokshaya Vishnu. Right? And in every universe there are living entities, and in the heart of living entities there is Kshirodakshaya Vishnu. Right? And from Balaram there is also one more expansion along with the first quadruple called Sadasiv. Right? And from Sadasiv, in the level of Mahavishnu comes Sambhu. Right? There is an expansion from him called Sambhu. And that Sambhu also expands in the level of Kshirodakshaya Vishnu as Rudra. Right? And Rudra we all know, with snake on the neck, and then Jatta, dreadlock, hair, this Lord Shiva, Mahadev we call. So all these explanations, when I read them, this is now we're talking. Right? Now we are talking. Now I understand what Hindu means. Not like before, Hindu no Bindu, means. I started like understanding. So when I saw the whole picture which is presented to us, it became very easy for me to say, yes, this is the one. This is the one. So I do believe in modern science. It's not that I have rejected it. It's been almost like 15 years I've given up my work and then became full-time in ISKCON. Right? And then of course, like when I thought let me become full-time in ISKCON, the first person objected was my parents, my mother. She said like, oh, we spent so much money making you an engineer, and now you have become Hare Krishna. What a loss, huh? What a waste. Yeah? They thought like that. But then it took some time for them to understand. Whatever I was doing is correct. Srila Prabhupada said, first they will criticize you, then they will listen to you, and then they will worship you. Right? So first they criticize me. What a waste. What a waste of money and, like everything. They scolded me. Then after a while they started like thinking, what is this guy up to? Maybe he's doing something good. You know why? Because most of the time I was happy. I was doing nothing, eating nothing, much, and then still happy. And they were doing all sorts of things, and still not happy. So that forced my parents to start reading Srimad Bhagavatam or Bhagavad Gita. Then after a while my father came and said, son, you're doing good. Please go ahead. In our family nobody did that. You're doing so good, me and my wife both. Right? And then later on they started worshipping me. Now my father says, now my son is my guru. Right? So he's very scholar. I'm learning from that. I'm a very proud father that I've got a son like this. But it takes a while. Right? So, but of course, we don't want people to worship us. We want to understand what God exactly is. Right? And I also saw there are three things. There is religion, there is spirituality, and there is tradition. All these things explained in these three things. Tradition is a group of people and accepting a norm. There's some kind of rules and regulations, right? Like for example, putting tika. This like a mark. What do you call it? Holy tattoo? What do we call like in English language? I don't know. There is no word, right? Tika. So we put on forehead. Like if you go to Nepal, if you go to Kathmandu in the hilly areas, we put tika, but then it's red, and it's mixed with rice. Uncooked rice. So that's a tradition. It's a tradition of that place only. Because if you go to other places, like for example in India, there is no rice. And the color may vary also. But then there is another thing called spirituality. Now what is spirituality? It's a study about yourself in a deeper aspect. Right? Immediately we can see ourselves. Who are you? This is me. That's why my passport has the picture of my face. The license has the picture of my face, right? This time we came to America, we came through San Francisco. In the airport, they looked at my passport, looked at me, this is you, okay, fine. Right? The way they identify is the picture, right? And then biometrics, the marks on the finger, right? This is the immediate understanding of oneself. But then spirituality says there is a deeper understanding of yourself. That's the mind, right? We are governed by the mind. Whatever I like, I'll do it. All my senses will start doing that. So understanding of the self in the level of mind. And better than mind, deeper than mind is intellect, the intelligence, right? And better than intelligence is the Atma, the soul, right? So all this explanation is the part of spirituality. Now interesting thing, right? As soon as you realize that you are Atma, the next thing you will see standing next to you is Paramatma, the super soul. As soon as you see the super soul, that is the beginning of religion. So the religion is allowing you to understand who God is. What is your relationship with God? That is religion. Right? So it's very, very like systematically presented, but then never taught to us in a systematic way. That's why we are confused, and then it takes a while for us to understand whatever I'm trying to do in this world, most of them are nonsense. Right? Then I found in life we have two things. One is the goal, other is the purpose. I saw, including me before I joined Krishna consciousness, I had many goals in life: to become rich, to get married, to have children, to go to different countries in the world. Right? These were the goals of mine. And then amazingly, these goals, one by one, once they get completed, I used to think, what's next? What's next? Because goals, they finish. And sometimes they don't. And even they don't finish, okay, so forget it. I'm not entitled, I don't deserve it, or I couldn't do it. So I move ahead. So goals, they get finished. Right? And then at one point, life becomes such that you are lost because you don't have any more goals. Right? Then life starts feeling boring. I met one very successful Nepali guy in New Zealand. He was expert in his field. He was among the top 5 personality in his field in the world. Very renowned person, and he earned a lot. He had 2 kids, 2 sons. One became doctor, another became businessman, successful businessman. And his life was successful. So I was sitting with him. I went to his home. Before he was there, I was sitting with his family and talking. So he enters the room, and he came to me, next to me and sat beside me, and then with his legs above, like he was sitting like this. So, Guruji, are you okay? Are you happy, comfortable? How do you like New Zealand? I said, yeah, it's beautiful, nice, everything. So I started talking about the subject matter he was expert in. He was the expert of earthquake. So I started talking, and slowly I started putting spirituality in it. We talked about spirituality. And you know what happened? After a while, after 10, 15 minutes, his body position became slowly, he came down, and then after about 15, 20 minutes of talking, he started, Guruji, I've got a serious problem. I said, what problem? He said, I'm now 55 years old. Right? And I'm so successful. I did everything. I achieved all good things in this life. Now, from last 5 years, after I became 50, my life is so boring. I don't have anything else to achieve in life. And when my life has become stagnant, there's nothing more, nothing new, nothing better. So it's been 5 years I'm living a boring life, monotonous life. Can you tell me there is something else in this life? Can you please let me know? That's a spirituality. Go deep. You have achieved everything outside. Right? Everything outside. Now I think it's time for you to go deep inside. Right? And give all the purpose of life. Purpose of life is to understand yourself. And then to understand everything as a whole. Brahma. Everything as a complete. Right? So then I also found like there are two things in life. One is called reflection. Another is called realization. Now reflection is a collection of experiences. We do have experiences in our life, right? But then all those experiences which we get from the outside of me, right? For example, there is fire. At one age, when I was a kid, I took my hand, wanted to touch the fire. And the fire burnt me. It was painful, right? And then I got the experience that, fire burns, right? And as a reflection, from that point, I never put my hand in the fire again. That's a reflection. Means my experience in this life gives me the knowledge which I will use it to declare my next step. That's called reflection. Then it's also called learning. I learn all the time. I'm learning so many things. This is the first time I came to LA. LA looks like this. Okay. That's experience. That creates reflection in me. But then there is another thing called realization. Realization means there is knowledge inside, 100% knowledge inside, and you revive that knowledge. Go inside and revive that knowledge. There's no learning. You learn no new things. It's coming from within. And when it comes from within, you realize it, you become, yeah, it's true. Right. Why didn't I know it before? Right? So there are two ways of getting you educated. One, go to the universities, colleges, and somebody coming you and downloading what they know. And other is going to the jungle, you meditating. You try to go deep, and then boom, one day you become enlightened. Now I know everything, which is coming from inside. Right? And coming from inside is more genuine. More genuine. Right? And then more better. You know how? Because we may not experience everything in life. We may not get the opportunity. Right? How many of you have gone to Mount Everest in Nepal? You've been. Only base camp. Okay, that's even great. You go to base camp. So he's the only one who has seen Mount Everest here. So you have that experience, don't you? And rest of us, we don't have that experience. But then, the realization inside is common to everybody. You have all opportunity. Once you go inside, you have all opportunity to understand whatever is coming from inside. And all the knowledge is inside there. Srila Prabhupada went inside and found everything. That's why he's talking about anything in life. Engineers, he's talking about engineering. Business, he's talking about business. My brother asked, did Prabhupada read so many books that he's talking about anything in the world? I said, no, he's a realized soul. I don't know whether he understood or not by me saying he's a realized soul. Right? So spirituality is helping us to realize. Means all the knowledge which is within, to bring it out, to revive it, which is a better way. Right? So I tried both. I tried educating myself, being an engineer, and then going around and learning things. And I tried spirituality for 21 years. And I found realization is more powerful. That's why my jeans became dhoti, my t-shirt became kurta. Understanding that yes, this process is far more better than the other one. And by the way, it's free. It's free. Even the books, he was asking, Prabhuji earlier was asking if you want to gift anything. And something, I don't know if it is something like $200, something like that. It's just the cost of the paper. The knowledge is free. The knowledge is free. When we chant Hare Krishna Maha Mantra, we don't have to pay anybody. It's free. But then to get educated in the world externally, you have to pay money all the time. And for that you have to work like donkey. Nothing is free. Right? So this is very important. And today is the Bhadra Purnima, which is a very auspicious day, for you to start Srimad Bhagavatam. Read it. Please read it. And your life will change for better. Right? I did that. Of course, it was very difficult for me because I was not a good book reader before. The first book I read in my life, the complete book, was Bhagavad Gita. It took me 2 years. One sloka a day. So 700 slokas, almost 2 years. Right? Then I thought, okay, let me start Srimad Bhagavatam. This books, the set of books, 18 books. Right? Then I thought, how long will it take for me to read it? Because I'm reading 1 sloka a day. Then I realized this book has 18,000 slokas. So 18,000 days. Let me calculate how many years. When I divided 18,000 by 365, you know what number came? 49.25. Oh my God, it'll take me almost 50 years to read these books. No. This is not good. And there is Chaitanya Charitamrita, which has 12,000 slokas. Right? Then there are so many Acharya's books, then 4 Vedas, and I want to read them all. Then I started doubling the speed. 2 sloka a day. Then 3 sloka a day. Then 5 slokas a day. Then 1 chapter a day. 2 chapters a day. I went up to 10 chapters a day. Then realize book reading is a creating habit. We are simply creating habit. So for me, who has read book for the first time at the age of 30, in 6 years I read so many books, creating habits, forming habits. And when I read all these books, wow! So I'm knowledged. I know so many things in life which many people don't know. Right? But then I know almost everything what people are doing in this world. It's so boring. Believe me, it's so boring. And if you're not reading these books and then not living a Krishna conscious life, you're missing a lot. You're missing a lot. So please go ahead, read these books and make your life sublime. Thank you very much. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. So if you have any question or comments, you can please do it. Yeah. Yeah. 40 years. Okay. Mm-hmm. Mm. Yeah. Thank you. Yeah. So thank you very much. Prabhuji is asking that how do we use this in day-to-day life? Because we need to earn money and do so many other things, right? So I found this is a misconception we have, that by becoming spiritual, we'll become a yogi. Yogi means renunciate. No, by reading all these books, you will leave everything, your family, your money, and then property, and then just wear a piece of cloth and then wander around. That's the general concept of what spirituality is. I found it's not. It's just the other way round. Spirituality is a very crucial part of us. Right? I could say that religion is a choice. Religion is a choice. Because in religion there is a provision called Aradhya. Aradhya means my worshipable. So each and every living entity, according to the consciousness, level of consciousness, chooses whom to worship. Right? Whom to worship. That's why, religion has a choice. That's why religion starts from Shraddha, faith, belief. But spirituality is a science. You cannot deny it. And spirituality is engraved in day-to-day living. If you want to become more rich, I can show you spiritually how to become more rich. Right? One of the example is Rajarshi, Janak Maharaj. He's a king. He was a king, and at the same time he was pakka spiritual person. That's why it's called Rajarshi, Raja and Rishi, both together. Arjun, to whom Krishna told Bhagavad Gita, right? Bhagavad Gita, after hearing Bhagavad Gita, Arjun was king and he was married to four. He had like lots of money. Did he renounce all these things? No. He still remained whatever he is. But then his consciousness changed. Right? So by becoming spiritual, you don't have to give up your businesses, family. I'm still living with my family. I'm married. Right? I don't leave my family. But my lifestyle, my consciousness, everything changed. The way I take business, the way I take family changed. Right? Me and my wife, we had a very good love marriage. Right? We loved each other, we stayed. But after getting married, something went wrong. We didn't get along with each other, Right? We always quarreled, fought with each other all the time. And at one point I thought like maybe I'm with the wrong person. Maybe I should divorce. To that degree we were like thinking, both she and me. But then when we came to Krishna consciousness, we understood spirituality, we started loving each other more. Why? Because I started accepting her as an individual. I realized there are so many things she would do is not directed to me. She didn't mean to hurt me. That's her nature. And she cannot help. In the same way, she understood me better. Right? Now we are together for the last 26 years. Right? So spirituality helped me to save my relationship. Spirituality helped me to understand what I'm destined for. No? Have you checked your astrology? Have you done that? Oh, I checked. Like it's so interesting. Before I never believed in all these things. I always wanted, my parents are like, they were businessmen. They are like well-off people. I thought I'll become more rich than them. So I tried lots of businesses. And each time I try, I invest, fail. 2-3 times fail. Then my father said, see, son, you have spent a lot. Why don't you like just not do business and I'll provide you money. But being a man, I was like, the ego was hurt, I thought, no, I will earn and become richer than my parents. I was thinking like that. Then my mother suggested, why don't we go to a Jyotish, astrologer, and find out. I said, well, what is the use? I mean, how can something be written on a piece of paper about my life? Whatever hard work I will do, whatever smart work I will do, that's the destiny I will create in my life. I was thinking like that. Then mother said, no, beta, there is something more. Let's go. So I went to the astrologer, checked, right? And he said, well, because you have Brihaspati on your foot, for 40 years you'll not be successful in life. Whatever you do will fail. I said, how is it possible? For 40 years. Not a joke. Right? But then I said, what is after 40 years? Is there any good? And I say, oh, very good. After 40 years you'll be such a wonderful thing will happen in your life. I said, how much money will I earn? Right? How much money will I earn? You know what he said? You'll never earn in life. What a disgrace. Then I said, but you said something good is going to happen after 40. He said, you'll become a spiritual person and you'll be famous. Right? So exactly at the age of 40, I joined, ISKCON full time. I didn't know all these things. So it is like many things are designed in life. But when you know it in beforehand, you're more prepared. So I also checked. I wanted to see what I was in previous life. Of course, like modern psychology also provides hypnotic regression, and then we can find it. And astrology also has a section which is mentioned by Bhrigu Muni. He provides like formulas to find out what I was in, what we were in previous life. I checked mine, and then the astrologer said, "You are a human being. You were a human being in your past life." I said, "Really?" And I said, but you were a hunter. You killed lots of birds. Right? Even this life, in the beginning, when I was a kid, I used to kill lots of birds. It was sports with what do you call this? Like, slingshot, right? Slingshot, or using air gun, or making a trap. I used to like kill lots of birds. Right? And then not only that, he said, because you killed lots of birds in your past life, you'll not have children in this life. You'll not have a child. So we've been married for 21 years, no child. right? And then my mother said, come on, don't believe this, let's go to hospitals today. In these days, like it's such a modern thing, you can do so many things. I went to the doctor, and doctor said, useless. It's completely useless. Even if we try, you'll have a defective child, as a test tube baby, So it's like, it's coming from past life. All these kind of signs, we have, but then we are not been taught, which is helping me in deciding day-to-day affairs. You don't have to wear dhoti to become spiritual. You wear like jeans. You remain whatever you want. You eat whatever you want. You look as you like. You don't have to shave head like mine, For some people it's so boring, like not having hair. My dad said, come on, what are you doing? It's such a beauty. Hair is a beauty, You have lost your beauty, He was saying that. But then, of course, I would prefer what Srila Prabhupada wants better than what my dad wants, right? So like that, you don't have to become spiritual, you don't have to change anything. All you have to change is your heart. This place has to be clean. With this clean heart, if you live your life rich, you become powerful, you become whatever you want, I guarantee you, you'll become a more happy person. I went to my teacher, one of my Indian teacher, when I was doing my bachelor in engineering. Of course, I did a wrong choice. He was my maths teacher. So I went and asked, sir, I want to become a happy engineer. I want to become a happy engineer. How to become a happy engineer? I just don't want to become an engineer. I want to become a happy engineer. You know what he said? We'll make you an engineer. Happiness you find yourself. That's what he told me. Right? And I said, sir, why can't you teach us happiness? And he said, because I have not found one. And maybe that time he was 50, 55 years old. And I was thinking, man, like the person of age of this doesn't know happiness. So I have to be serious. I need to find happiness. That thing came in my head that time. And I was not spiritual that time. Right? So yeah, spirituality is like something which is helping you to become happy. Go deeper. Become rich man. Become whatever you want to become. It's okay. Right? And then when you become spiritual at one point, then you realize, I need God. Even Calvin said, if you go deeper in science, you'll be forced to believe in God. One point will come that you'll realize God. So make sure that it's not late. It's not too late. Yeah. Thank you. Yeah. Yeah. So we are born Hindus. We're not educated Hindus. We're just born. I used to go to temple, do like this, put tika. Okay, God, give me good marks, good money, bye bye. That's all we know about like religion back there in Nepal. Yeah, just like ask for forgiveness, that's all. But then nobody is teaching us like what Srila Prabhupada has done. So in Nepal, like you said, we have like majority Hindu. So we started ISKCON, right? And when we went there, like back there, 2010, we had only 2 temples. Now we have 64 temples. It's growing like anything. Thousands of like youth are coming. Why? Because we are educating them. Yeah? When we educate them in spirituality and religion, they love it. Because today's generation, the generation G, the generation Alpha, they are lost. They fortunately from their parents' hard work, baby boomers and millennials, they got all the facilities which none of the generation got. And after getting all those facilities, they started questioning, what's next? What's next already for them? For most of us, that next thing is coming at the age of, like 50, 60. For them, when they are young, it's already coming to their head. And then there's only one solution, is spirituality. So now it's coming up. Now in ISKCON, we are like educating them in this Hindu religion, and they love it. They love it. So thousands, literally, all of our like 64 temple centers flooded with young people, flooded. We don't know what to do with them. Sunday programs are not like this. I was just like entering this hall and I say, very less people. Yeah, in our Sundays program, minimum 4,000 youths. Minimum 4,000 youths. It's crowded. It's like Janmashtami all the time, like every week, right? So, of course, like what I'm trying to say is, if we present spirituality in a right way, people are going to take it. Srila Prabhupada gave us the spirituality in a very right way, but we are making it religious, traditional. That's why many people are reluctant. I don't want to change my lifestyle. But then it's nothing to do with lifestyle. Spirituality, Krishna consciousness is about consciousness. It's not about lifestyle. You wear whatever you want to wear. You eat whatever you want to eat. You can see the varieties of devotees. Garud, he would feast with fish and snakes, and yet carry Lord Vishnu on his back. So, and Britashur, who in these books, like there's a character called Britashur. He's a Rakshas, he's a demon. And he eats like 6 human bodies in his breakfast only. He's a demon. And then on the war, he is like telling Indra, who is like pakka vegetarian, come on, believe in Vishnu, believe in Lord Vishnu, you fool, what are you doing? Right? The demon who is eating the human flesh is telling the vegetarian guy to become Krishna conscious. Right? So of course, like if we present this thing in a proper manner, yes, people will be able to take it. So in Nepal, we preach like spirituality, and lots of Muslims, they also come. They like it. Right? We teach them how to become even more loyal to Allah. Right? And then chant Hare Krishna. Why not? Not so much. Yeah, Indra is there, but then not so much. In Nepal, the most famous is Lord Shiva and Ganesh. Then comes Durga also. Krishna is okay there, but then many people, they don't know Krishna. But now we are like preaching, introducing, hey guys, Krishna is also there, guys. We're showing them, giving them opportunity to understand him. Yeah, so thank you very much. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda ki jai. Hare Krishna.